What's up? It's Carpo. Dude, I mean, look at us. Society of people who do what we want, when we want, how we want. I'm not preaching here, but I'm irritated with the way kids behave these days. Not kids as in children, but kids as in teenagers or young men, young women, mostly men. And it's not sexist to stereotype men and women in certain classifications. It's not sexist at all, it's just true. There's scientific studies that they've done over the years where they've shown that men and women truly have different traits. Women see faces better, remember faces better. Men remember places better. Men have a far scope of vision, women have a near scope. It's just the way we're created. So anyway, men tend to be more of the aggressive type, and that's just how we are. And I try to battle against that, but at the same time, I wonder how much of that is necessary. You know, you have to have a certain amount of fire in you and aggression in order to accomplish your ends. But I think it's when that fire is misdirected that we get these kids driving down the street at 90 miles an hour in the freeway, weaving in and out of traffic with their bass cranked up so everybody else can hear it. Everyone having to, be flashy and impress one another. It's a misdirected angst, and it's okay when you're young. If you're peacocking, and you're just trying to find a mate, that's fine. But when you get older, it's like grow up. You don't have to. It's like those guys that dress like hoodlums when they're like 45, 50 years old. It's like it's wearing, back in the day it was starter jackets and all that kind of shit, but nowadays I don't even know what the styles are. I really don't. I don't even pay attention. But anyway, the misplaced aggression is used in all other sorts of I don't know. I think that people tend to blame the people around them and blame the world because they're angry, and they don't know how to use that anger properly and channel it. And it takes a lot of practice, I guess, to channel your anger, to use it, and I guess in my experience that I found that anger is a useful tool when it's used correctly. But like I said, misdirected, it doesn't do anybody any good. So how is it properly directed? Like, what are these issues, or what do you do with anger? I mean, I get pissed sometimes, and I get pissed at something stupid. It might just be getting irritated by too much noise going on. If I've got the 3-year-old crying about something, and the baby crying about something, and the TV's going, and somebody's calling, and a bunch of shit, I get flustered, and I've learned to cope with that over the years. It's a lot easier once you have kids, but sometimes I get truly angry, though, about, people. I'm an offensive driver, but I have an aggressive attitude. If I see somebody weaving in and out, I'm going to do my best to prevent them from doing that. And over the years, I've asked myself, why do you do this? Just let the person do what they're going to do. I can't. That's where I get mad because they're putting everyone in danger, and I feel like I have to. I don't slow down in front of them. I'm not one of those guys, but people who stop in the left-hand lane so they can cut over 5 lanes to the exit they missed, that kind of shit. And this is just driving, but the reason why that's important is because I get angry about it, and I find that's one of the things that angers me the most is shitty drivers and inconsiderate people, and a lot of people in Mercedes. But I'm just like everyone else. I stereotype, I generalize, I judge, I get angry, I get mad, I get sad. I go through all the same emotions a normal person does, And it's funny because emotions are yours to harness. If you're willing to take the time to learn how to properly channel your anger, properly channel your happiness, how to maximize your happiness. That's a huge one. I mean, it's to make yourself giddy over something, get excited about something that you usually wouldn't get excited about because you've trained yourself to do it. And in the same way, you can train yourself to suppress your anger. And that's where I'm leading. That's where I'm going with this. Is it healthy to suppress your anger? Growing up, I was always told to, like, well, you have to release it. You have to let it out, or else it'll bottle up and it'll eat you alive. It's like, but will it really? I mean, does anger really need to be dispersed? Is it something that needs to be muffled, like a sound from a vacuum or something? You know, or is it just something that just disappears into the woodwork? If all energy is only transferable and cannot be created or destroyed, then it could lead one to assume that your anger just transforms into another form of energy. However, you have to also accommodate for the fact that that anger must have come from another form of energy. And that's the big issue here, is that when you get angry, it's sucking a lot of emotion out of you, and it's sucking a lot of energy. That's why anger is such an important emotion. It's because it takes the most energy, but it gets the most done. When you're mad, at first you may not think clearly, but when you train yourself, you'll learn to use that anger to make yourself, you get your adrenaline flowing, and you learn to focus, hyper-focus on certain situations. You know, I get mad when I watch documentaries about certain things, and that's kind of where I want to leave this, because I know all of us have watched a lot of documentaries, and those who are involved in the things that I'm involved in, who are involved in truth and the movement towards peace, justice, harmony, whatever, however you want to label it, I think we've all seen the documentaries about food shortages, water shortages, contamination, virus, possible, aliens, all the different interesting fringe type shows that are out there. And I can say that when I sit here and talk, I'm just a guy sitting here smoking a cigarette, spouting to a cheap camera. And these people have, $20,000 cameras, and not only that, but they throw the music in. And I'm going to tell you, the music is the biggest focus. It drives your emotion. And it's like when you pull the soundtrack out of a movie, you don't even realize it's there half the time. But with documentaries, they get you mad, and they get you thinking, because of the emotion that's put behind it, because they can show little clips of a lot of different people, and it has a high impact. Personally, I'd prefer to listen to a person just rant, because I've learned that if I go to YouTube and I listen to an average person speak their feelings for 10 minutes, I get more out of that than out of a 2-hour special, because all they do is they repeat themselves over and over. They throw in a little bit of information, and then they put in a bunch of fancy scenes. And that's what some of these, quote, truthers do in order to drive your emotion, to get you angry, to get you involved in certain things. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes using that, those images and that sound, those sounds can, bring people to an issue that's important. But at the same time, it can also be used to apply to a situation that's not even true and make people believe it's true. Fancy graphics, big words, deep voices, quotes from generals or whatever it may be. But people's anger, when people can get you angry, they can feed off of that anger, because the anger takes so much out of you that you have to replenish it, and you just get angrier and angrier. So letting it go is a major, it's a major contributor to happiness in my book, is to let shit go. And don't worry about bottling it up, because anger is only bottled up if you allow it to bottle up. Anger doesn't bottle, resentment bottles up. Resentment towards a particular person. Getting angry about certain things, everybody's bound to explode at one time or another, so hopefully we can direct that energy to something good. But don't get angry unless you know how to direct your emotions. And if it comes when you don't expect it, then analyze it, process it, and let it go. Or try.